Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ian. Welcome to the WG Legacy live webinar. And today we are very honored to have our very own principal, which is the founder of WG Legacy, onto the show. All right, she is none other than Jocelyn Chi. So Jocelyn has been in this line for the past 8 years, all right, because now it's 2021. All right, so once again, happy belated New Year. And of course, in this roundtable discussion, this is the third series. But nevertheless, we are always going to treat this like the first lah. All right. So let's just count this as the first series of 2021. All right. And today we're going to talk about something really interesting, which is if let's say today you have a big house, but you have multiple children. Let's say you have 3 children. How can we, all right, how does the property owner, all right, gonna bequeath the ownership title of that house evenly and fairly to the 3 children? So this is actually a topic that we want to discover, and we wanted to talk really in depth into it. And without further ado, let's bring in and welcome Miss Jocelyn Chi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ian, for your introductions. And as what Ian said, today is a very closed door meeting, closed door roundtable. So I'm not going to share with you a lot of slides because I'm going to leave the room for you guys to ask all these questions so that our communication will be more meaningful and more informative. Okay, so now let's move on to the first slide. So the topic of today roundtable will be focusing on wealth transfer. So transfer what? Transfer your big house, which is the big thing, which is the property, real estate. So which is your immovable property as a class of assets. So immovable property include your residential property, whether it is a apartment, condo, or a landed property, then offices, building, factory, or land. So tonight we will not only touch on the asset distributions, like how you're going to give to who, but we also will bring up the issue to be considered around. Because most of the time when people writing a will, because we are actually legacy consultants, we help people write wills or trusts. So when people come to will, the first thing in my mind is actually who I want to give. Means distributions, right? So today we are not just only touch on distributions, but we also would like you to consider the issue around ownership structure, property management, valuations, and outstanding mortgage. So I think these are some of the point or issue you should consider when it comes to estate planning or even just writing a will.
Oh, I didn't know so many things to consider.
Yeah. So that's why actually we have a lot of topic to discuss. Okay, so the next slide is my question to you, right? Or most of the questions people will ask, should I bequeath my bungalow, which is today we would like to use the class of asset, which is the bungalow. Should I bequeath my bungalow to my 3 children? Let's say you have multiple children. Over here we say 3 lah. Let's say 3 children, because I have siblings. Total, we have got 3, so I use 3. Right. So should I bequeath my bungalow to my 3 children in equal share? Yes, of course. Logically, when it comes to the topic of wealth transfer or inheritance, the parents will be written a will to bequeath the assets to the children, and most of the time, the distribution is equal share. Correct? I think majority of the people will actually do this way. Okay, because it is simple and straightforward. And for this arrangement, a basic will could satisfy this way of will writing. A basic will, because when writing a will, you can write a basic will or comprehensive will or customized will. So I think basic will is actually roughly in the market is about, for road wills, we charge 480. In the market, roughly, you can like some legal firm, they charge same price or slightly lower a bit or higher a bit. So it's that range actually for basic will could satisfy this way of will writing. But if we could think deeper actually, when writing a will for an asset like properties, what is the fairest method of distributing the property fairly and evenly. Okay, fairly and evenly, I mean, to the person who write a will have this point of view, but towards the beneficiary, when they are receiving your wealth, when the wealth is actually passing to them, I think this is a big topic for us to explore. Whether, how does they feel? Is that fairly or evenly in their heart? And what would be that would there be any potential issue? The property given to all the children in equal share will result in needless strife and conflict among siblings or closest family members. Would that be happen or not? If you write your will saying that I give my property or all my property give to all my children in equally. So that's why today we would like to explore actually all these related issues.
Okay.
So tonight we use this gentleman named Mr. Chow, okay? He is 60 years old. His wife, Mrs. Chow, older than him, 5 years old. So she's 65. And they have 3 children. 2 of the children already working abroad. Okay, they reside in Australia. And they have another children, which is the younger children named Nick. Okay, sorry to introduce Brian and Danny. Danny is the elder son. So the youngest one is actually Nick. He's still studying in university in Malaysia because his result is actually fantastic. So he no need to go to overseas because actually he's getting scholarship because he's had a good result. So that is actually he's studying in local U. All right. So he will be our case study of tonight. Okay, he will be our case study that how was the asset distributions and what is the issue, what is the potential issue that might be arise towards the beneficiary. So he is the owner of the bungalow worth 3.7 million. But he bought this bungalow 9 years ago, and that time is about 3.2 million. So at this moment, he still have mortgage with bank around 1.3 million. But Mr. Chow got himself coverage, which is covered by a bank with term insurance, something like MRTA lah, he buy full loan. So means that upon the demise of Mr. Chow, there's not an issue in terms of mortgage financing, so that the beneficiary wouldn't be worried about whether can they pay to the bank in order for the title to be transferred to the beneficiary, because he got his insurance covered under the bank. Okay, so he written a will, like what I say, and bequeath his property to his son in equal share. So upon the demise of him, the 3 children will be inheriting the property, and the title will be transferred to 3 of them, and each of them will be having 1/3 of the share in the property. So they become a co-owner already. The children become the co-owner of the property. All right. So there are 3 potential issues that may arise by transferring the title to them. So let's us go straight to the point. What are the 3 potential issues? The first one, maintenance costs. Okay. So who will pay the maintenance and renovation cost if any arise? Okay, who will pay for that? For instance, as what we discussed just now, the other 2 elder brothers are already working and staying abroad. They're already residing in Australia for good. All right. So assuming after the father passed away, a few years later, the mother also passed away lah. Okay. So the youngest brother Nick continue to reside in the bungalow. Now the problem arises actually. So this whatever today we are share is actually we are talking into a real scenario, because in our neighborhood definitely there will be this event happen. Just that people might be not telling you, or you are not hearing that only, because for our surrounding we have many cases like this. So the problem arises. The bungalow it's time to do maintenance because quite already. So the water filter and air conditioner unit require servicing. Now questions, who should pay for that? Should the one who reside bear the full cost? because it's not cheap, because it's a bungalow. So who should actually pay for that? Is that the one who reside have to bear the cost? Or should the owners of the property share the cost?
So perhaps if you're listening to this presentation, maybe you can type in the chat box. All right. So who should be the one? Who should be the one paying for all the maintenance fees, the security charges, the renovation? Who should be the one? Is it the one who stays inside the bungalow or the one who owns the bungalow? All right. So Cheryl says the one who resides should bear. Okay. All right. So any
By
more?
right, the one who reside should bear, right? Because you stay that property. If I'm the sibling, I would say like that, right? You are the one who stay that property. You should bear whatever costs, whatever maintenance involved.
Somchit also said the one who reside, the youngest kid, should be the one paying for everything. The one in Australia don't need to pay, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So means that now it's 50-50 or 100% of our audience say the one who reside should bear.
They say the one who reside should bear lah. That is, then of course Somchit will say the one who reside lah. But then he says if the siblings are close, then can talk lor.
Yes.
Yes.
Now the big word is close. But you see, later I will tell you more story about the background of these three siblings. Bear in mind, they already start working and sooner they will form their own family member. Or they were married and they will form their own family nucleus. So there will be a different story already. So let's just come back to here. Of course, come back to this case study. If I was Nick will definitely have this point of view. Definitely, he will ask the brother to share the cost. First, remember, the property is actually jointly owned by the brothers. Okay? And I think second point is also very important because he is just started working. Because just when the father passed away, he was in university. Then after that, he started working already. So he just started working. Definitely no saving, also no reserve fund. So he actually got challenges in maintenance the big house. It's not like he don't want to pay, but he got difficulty. Okay, that's 2 points. One is actually he feel that this property you jointly own, then we should pay together. The second point of view is actually I don't have money to pay, but I need to continue to stay so that I need to fix the problem. All right, okay, but perhaps from the brother's point of view, because the brother is actually not residing in that property, so definitely they refuse to pay Nick because Nick, you are the one who pay. You are the one should pay because you are the one who reside. I think quite logic lah, this one, okay? Then another reason being is the brother already settled down in Australia and have kids. So means their financial also tied up with their own household and family living expenses. So each side got reason lah. The brothers in overseas got reason, and Nick who stay in that property also got reason. So trust, this could be a potential give birth to argument among these three brothers. So which is seriously affecting sibling harmony. This is very serious. So that's why as a parents who are actually writing the will now, we should consider all this problem might arise if we are giving the property to the children in equal share. Okay, this is our point number 1.
Okay.
Okay, so can I move on to point number 2?
Yeah, of course.
All right, thank you. So the second point is actually, this is likely serious already. When they are not agree or they already got argument for maintaining the property, then they definitely thinking of split already, meaning that property disposal. So let's say, what if one of the joint owner wishes to sell off the bungalow? Let's say already tak boleh tahan, I don't want to share with you already so many maintenance you want me to pay, or I ask you to pay, you don't want to pay, or whatever things lah. So I think we just split the share and sell off the property. Okay, so now problem arises. Does the joint owner need to get all the joint owners' consent or not when he want to sell the property?
So
Yeah, let just come back to our audience to ask one by one.
Yeah, of course. Why don't you just put it in the chat box? All right. So if let's say, for example, okay, let's say Nick, all right, someone approach him and say, hey, why don't you sell your property lah? All right. And then Nick say, oh, okay. So the question is, does Nick need to get Brian and Danny, all right, which is his elder brother's consent to sell off the property?
But I would say usually it's the one who in overseas want to sell the property, because Nick is actually staying in that property ma. Right? Okay. Because Nick is actually asking the brother to pay maintenance. Then the brother already say, I don't want to pay already. Then the argument comes. So now, let's say the brothers in overseas want to sell the property. Does the joint owner need to get all the joint owner consent?
That means yes. all three must actually agree lah.
Yeah. And there's further questions to ask. How was the agreement on the valuation? Let's say really they come to an agreement of, okay, they can agree to sell the property, but another questions arise. The agreement on the valuation and price of the property. Well, this one also third one, right? How much to sell actually?
So which means to say even all three want to agree to sell, but then let's say, for example, an offer comes in, say at 3.9 million. So Brian say, okay lah, sell lah. And then Danny say, okay lah, sell lah. But then Nick say, the one 3.9 lah, market value I think can go up to 4.1 lah. Hold on to it first, then cannot sell already.
Yes, cannot sell already, because this is also one of the agreement term. So it means that the agreement terms also involved in the valuation and the price of the property.
Oh.
Okay. So does the property have another one? Okay, another question arise, another problem arise. Does the property have any mortgage, financing, or guarantee involved? Because now it's a joint owner, ma. So is there any financing of that particular joint owner, or any guarantee involved, or any, sometimes people say, or any lawsuit lah, worst come to is a lawsuit involved for that particular joint owner. So which is not so straightforward when it comes to disposal the property when there's a owner, where's a joint ownership.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so this means, if let's say, come back to our case study, if one of the brother, let's say Brian lah, he proposed, since he already decided to reside in Australia for good with his family, then he proposed to sell. He wished to sell off the bungalow and receive his portion back in cash, because he entitled 1/3. So he need to convince the joint owner, his brother, to agree to the sales of the property. Then only the property can be sold. Then the property can find a new buyer. But the challenging part is actually Nick, because Nick is actually staying inside the property.
Oh, he's already living in a big house. Then where you want him to go?
Yeah. So let's say lah, because this involves conflict of interest already, personal interest. Okay. Let's say Nick does not wish to sell the property because he wants to reside the bungalow, and he also wished that he could build the family in the bungalow, right? So the conflict of interest arises between the brothers.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
So,
it's
in this case,
messy lah.
It's very messy. In this case, straight to the point, as long as Nick refused to sell the bungalow with whatever reason, whether it's a valuation problem or whatever reason, as long as he refused to sell the property could not be sold. So the brother, Brian, can't liquid his portion into cash so that he can't cash out. He can't cash out the entitlement.
So which means if the property is worth 3.9 million, his share is 1.3 million. His 1.3 million is as good as he cannot get lah, because it's kind of like stuck.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. What he get is actually the name is in the property law. The name is in the title deed only.
I
The
see.
name was registered in the title deed, but he unable to get the true benefit of that property unless he come back and stay lah.
Which he won't, because he's already in Australia for good.
Yes.
Mm.
So this is the real case scenario happening in our neighborhood. The beneficiary oftentimes feel frustrated because let's put our shoe in, whether it is Brian's shoe or it is Nick's shoes, it is frustrated and unfair. They will definitely feel unfair after the name was registered in the property, got so much problem.
I see. Okay, we can see how complicated things are getting by just, even if you want to do a simple DIY view and say, oh, I bequeath this property evenly and fairly to the 3 beneficiary. Wow, so easy, right? But after that, the beneficiary got, it's kind of like messy for them lah, after they have inherited their ownership title of the property.
Yeah, yes, correct. This is quite a real thing. I mean, especially come to dispose of the property when there's a multiple or joint owner. It's quite messy one actually when come to you need to get consent from each other.
Okay, so what will be the third one?
Okay, the last one, which is the death of joint owner. Okay, you see, our problem arises actually more from point 1 to point 3 is actually getting complicated. First one is actually just discuss about who pay the maintenance. Then the second one is actually disposal the property. But the third one actually you can't control already. Means that the joint owner passed away. This one nobody can control. Once the title is actually registered in the title, once the name is registered in the title, you cannot control what if the joint owner pass away. Okay, so let's put this Mr. Chow case. Because the 3 siblings, which is the 3 brothers, is the joint owner. Okay, so what if actually we say Brian lah? We use Brian. What if actually Brian's pass away? Because Brian married already and got kids in Australia. And then he passed away in Australia. So what will be happen to his portion of 1/3? Suppose he want to sell one, but mana tahu tak boleh sell. Then after that he passed away. This is just scenario lah, to make you understand the complications. Okay, might be arise from joint ownership. So, who will be the new joint owner for the remaining brothers? So we should look into whether Brian have a will, whether Brian having a will or without a will. Okay. So for this case, we use Brian without a will. Easy to understand, because when Brian have a will, let's say Brian write a will saying that I want to bequeath my asset, same thing, to my 2 children, then your new beneficiary would be the 2 kids. Okay, but now we put back the scenario, said that Brian don't have a will. So as long as the asset is actually under Malaysia, which is the immovable property will be follow Malaysia law, because the property is actually in Malaysia, as regardless actually Brian citizenship or Brian domicile. Okay, because every country actually they will have their intestate law. Okay, but for property as a class of the asset, they will be follow the they will follow the asset location law. So meaning that it will be follow Malaysia Distribution Act 1958. Okay, so for this case, Brian's parents already passed away, assume. So that the entitlement of the distribution order will be given to the wife 25%, and 75% shared equally among the two children, regardless whether the children's age is already reached up to 18 or not, or 21, because certain country, they practice different law. So Malaysia is actually 18. So it's regardless the age of the children. So they are already the new owner of that property, of the bungalow. Okay, if let's say the parents, just a sharing, if let's say the parents is involved, then the parents will be receiving 25% from the entitlement. But for this case, because we use the Mr. Chow and Mrs. Chow is passed away already, so the beneficiary will be only wife and the children, which is the son of Brian. So the entitlement will be 25% to the wife and 75% to the minor child. Trust, it will be great additional joint owner to the bungalow unit. Haha. Suppose only three, right? So three out one. But because of this person don't have a will, then it will bring in more beneficiary. Usually, if you don't have a will, usually you will bring in more beneficiary because under the Malaysia distribution order. So means the other brothers will have new joint owner, which is the sister-in-law and nephew.
And what if, let's say, the nephew is still young, below the age of 18? So can this property still be transacted or not?
This one quite difficult already, because when the beneficiary is a minor, it's quite challenging already when you want to dispose the property, because the law protect minor children.
Oh, so means what?
So meaning the property cannot dispose until this minor beneficiary turn into 18 years old.
Oh, I see.
But there will be an exceptional because sometimes, because the wife, which is the mother, will be the trustee for that children. So depends on how was the trustee, how was the arrangements of the trustee with the court. Because they need to apply because you cannot simply speak on behalf of your minor beneficiary to sell the property just because they are entitled 75%. Okay.
Okay.
So can you sense the complications of what if one of the joint owner pass away? That will create more problem already and more beneficiary. Okay. So that's why many times we witness sibling or closer family member turn into ugly battles or end up become enemy, because all the potential I shared above is a real thing. It's a real thing that might be happens towards a joining property. Especially, the property, like now we say the property involve many joint owner from sibling. Then if one of the sibling pass away, it will be passing on to the next generations. So we see, hence, the idea of splitting up ownership of the property to a multiple beneficiary has many shortcomings. So that's why we always encourage our clients. It's not a problem actually when writing a basic will to say that all my assets give to all my beneficiary. It's not a problem, but at least we need to understand a bit of the consequences or the potential problem might be arise, so that you can put in certain structure in your estate planning to prevent all this. All right. So what would be the options to consider? Because now I want to give you solution already. Okay. So after I telling you all the three problems, actually definitely I need to tell you solutions, right?
Yeah.
So the solutions is actually how to avoid how to eliminate all the potential problem I shared above. The solution is actually quite straightforward and simple. Okay, the answer is, now, if let's say Mr. Chow are worried about after he passed away, then Mrs. Chow's Mr. Chow should put in because some people might worry lah. After I transfer my property to my children, then the children sell off whatever things lah. Then the wife actually no home to stay or whatsoever reason. So some of our clients will actually put this arrangement. I would like to hold on trust. I will ask the trustee in the will. In the will, I can write in. I will ask the trustee to hold the property on trust for the benefit of Mr. Chow's life tenant. Meaning that as long as Mr. Charles is alive, the title cannot transfer to the beneficiary. The title will be held under a trustee name.
Oh, which means after that, even if the children are the beneficiary, they cannot kick their mother out of the house lah.
They cannot kick because the title is not yet transferred, right? When you write in your will, when you write a will, you say, I want to give to my children, means that the title will be transferred to the children. But if you write in your will, say that I want to hold the property for a period of time. So the period of time can be, for this case, I will use Mr. Child, Mrs. Child life tenant. Okay, so meaning that the trustee will only hold that title until the event satisfied, then only can transfer the title to the beneficiary. Okay, this is one of the good way we usually guide our clients to write their will. So what if the wife actually predeceased or if the wife passed away? Then actually we advise our clients to sell off the property. So it means you need to write a will saying that I would like to liquidate or I would like to sell off my property. I would like to sell off my bungalow and the net proceed will be given to my 3 children. So meaning that you already instruct the executor in the will to sell off the property. Okay, so definitely the beneficiary will be still the 3 persons, which is the 3 sons. Then you can decide whether you want to give them a lump sum in cash, right? So that receive, because liquid is quite easy, liquid won't have all this potential problem like just now I shared. So each person will take their own portion and go. Okay, so if you feel that I want to give my children, my beneficiary in a lump sum, so just by all means lump sum. But if you worry, like because this asset we use here is 3.7 million, so means that a lump sum means that each of my children will be a millionaire already that time. So they might be worried about like mismanaged fund and all this. So if you have this concern, no problem. You just write your instruction in your will, say that I would like to put in stages, meaning that I don't want the money to give one lump sum to my beneficiary because I want to have some asset protections for my beneficiary. So you can give lump sum, let's say like 100,000, 200,000, one lump sum. Then subsequently, you can put in, by stages, how many years or 1 month, how much. Okay, so another option actually, if you would like to have some asset preservation effects, because it is a bungalow, right? So you might be worried after I sell this bungalow, my children will be not able to buy another bungalow. Okay. Some of our clients, they will have this concern because they want to have asset preservation benefits. Okay. They would like to deal with their asset with the valuations, the preservation in the valuation of the real estate. Okay, so you just write in, I want to hold the asset. I don't want to transfer the title now. I just want to hold the title maybe for another 10 years or 5 years. So during the holding period, the beneficiary, which is my 3 sons, can receive rental income. Okay, so after they receive, after the 5 years rental income, then sell. Because the end goal is still sell, because to eliminate all the potential problems that just now I shared above. So these are the 3 options, actually a few options that we will guide our clients in terms of planning their wealth transfer of estate, of real estate, actually, for properties in particular.
I see. So which means to say the first step is to transfer the ownership title of the property to a trust. And you can actually elect, let's say, Mrs. Chow as a life tenant of the property, so that Mrs. Chow, as an old lady, as an old woman, she is secured a place to reside into until for as long as she lives. And then once, let's say she passes on in the future, then of course the trustee can, on behalf of the three beneficiaries, sell off the property, and you can also even decide what to do with the cash after the property has been disposed. You can do it in one lump sum, or you can actually do it in stages. Is that the whole summary of the solution?
Yes. Yeah,
Mm,
if you have worried about the shelter of your beneficiary, especially those beneficiary are the dependents. Like this case is the wife because she is old age. So you're worried about the shelter for her, then I think this is a good structure for manage the property under the trust after the event of death.
I see. Okay. All right. So all of us have actually heard of the solution. So I think this is actually quite good because it eliminates the what you call the problems that may the problems or the conflicts that could have arise if, let's say, the property is being split from one owner to multiple owners. So I think this is actually pretty simple and straightforward. Okay, so yep. So please do contact us. I mean, it's wglegacy.com or 019-729-4278. Okay, so if you need more information, just feel free to call Jocelyn out for a e-coffee session. All right, because it's
Yeah,
your MCO.
during this period, be able to do Zoom anytime, any place.
We can only do it from Zoom. And with that, any last imparting words for RT discussion number 3 before I really close this session? Take it away.
Okay, so today our roundtable sessions is actually pointing out the potentials issue might arise actually for writing a basic will, especially basic wills involve a class of asset, which is property. So we would like you to think deeper or put it more considerations before actually you instruct your estate planner to give you a will writings to give you a will to sign. So if let's say just now all the three possible questions or all the three possible potential risks that it is a concern to you, right? So please actually contact me, and I'm happy to hear more from your side, and I'm happy to give you advice so that you can have actually maintain your family harmony, which is the most important thing, I think, for a family man or family woman, right? So harmony for sibling is actually very precious. So we don't want like because of we want to put in a simple structure or we want to save some cost, so that we just write a simple will which is, does not really help us in passing our wealth to the next generations. All right, so that is my closing.
All right. So with that, thank you so much once again, Jocelyn, for your time and for your presentation for this particular topic, which is an eye opener. All right, we didn't know, bequeathing one property to 3 children can actually come up with so many issues. All right, that is something that we really do not know. So, so thank you so much for highlighting that. And of course, we would love to highlight more and more of this kind of blind spots that we all common people, not like Jocelyn, all right, who's into this line. We all we couldn't see. So we will actually do that on a monthly basis, at least for now. So we are going to have our next roundtable discussion, and of course, with that, I will send you the webinar invites for when that day comes. All right. So meanwhile, let us all do our part to stay safe and We will actually love to hear your questions. If anything that you want us to cover, all right, we will find the answers for you. Go to our website, put them down, and we will actually crack our head to actually bring you the best estate planning strategies that you can actually use to protect yourself and your family members' welfare. All right. So with that, thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, all the audience. Thank you, Ian, and good night.
Good night.